Welcome back, Panther fans. I'm David Brown, along with Ryan Graham,
Hey, y'all.
Tim Thurber,
Hello.
and this is State of Atlanta. All right, welcome back, guys.
Tim, do you have a beer?
Boom.
I didn't feel like I heard anything from your mic.
He was already drinking it.
We were so in sync with I was in sync with David. You didn't hear anything. It was perfect.
We're perfectly synced up.
Yeah.
Did you actually open one, Ryan? I know you opened one just before we started. Did you actually open a second one already?
Yes.
Nice.
More encouragement to
They are
drink.
both full, so I got to drink them fast.
You do.
Excellent. So how was y'all's week? Anything exciting? I mean, Ryan, you had a big week. You went down to Florida.
Disney World, I
I
think,
went
right?
down to the epicenter of COVID, the worldwide
And?
epicenter.
What did it look like down there?
Oh, Orange County, Florida.
It was like a war zone with masks everywhere.
Yeah, we wore masks mostly, but I was in
According to your Facebook pictures along the weekend, you did not wear anything.
There were times when I didn't, but so we were in a convention center that was designed for 1,048 people, and only about 250 people showed up. So it was pretty easy to stay socially distanced from people for the most part.
I mean, that's why you designed it. You designed to have a place that was 4 times as big so that you could
Right.
easily socially distance. It wasn't like a failure of people showing up. It was, yeah.
Well, and if all 1,048 people showed up, every single person would have had a 6-foot table to themselves. It was
wow.
it was
Oh, that is a big space. It's a big
Yeah.
space. How about you, Tim? Anything going on over the weekend?
There's a little lady night match down in Disney's Wide World of Sports. Apparently, per the experts, all the statisticians, we own the match
But
on the stats line. Just didn't own it on the one line that matters, which is winning. And
Yeah, it's like
goals.
all like, we're gonna Atlanta the hell out of this game.
it's like, yeah, you own the time of possession. You own the offensive yards, but you lost on the scoreboard.
Yeah, pretty much. I hated when we drew the Red Bulls because we basically only beat them one time, and everything else has been a loss or a draw.
That's
Right.
New
So
York.
so they just own us, and they've owned us, and they press really hard, and we just can't handle it. Like we look, I don't know, like I know you watched some of the match. I think David, we don't look like we're together when they're pressing us. We can't move the ball that easily. They just.
Yeah, I try to watch, and I mean, as you know, I'm not a huge
Right.
fan or really a huge soccer fan in general, but it was a long day. I've been up by the pool most of the day, even the cocktail's been flowing most of the day. I was tired. But one thing I will say about the match that I did not like was, man, that fake crowd noise. Like, if they do no fans, and we'll talk about it later, but if they do no fans at college football games, do not do the fake crowd noise. It's fake, so it just feels
It's awkward.
It just feels weird because it's not. It's one thing if you're trying to pump it up so it sounds like it's louder when there are fans in the stands, but when
As
there's
the Falcons fan,
exactly,
of course you'd say that.
They had practice, man. They had the Falcons to tell them exactly what to do. No,
You're talking
I
about
think it was Fox requiring that because other matches I watched earlier in the week on ESPN, there was no crowd noise. It was silent. You could hear the players cursing. It was great.
well, that was like
Yes,
Sunday night prime time.
cardboard cutouts too in the stands.
No, they don't have any of that. They have lots of ads everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is soccer. I mean, you can't even get your uniform without an ad on it. So
It's not NASCAR though. I mean, NASCAR's got ads everywhere.
Well, like cricket, they did that though. Cricket, like I think it was in India or Australia, they had like cardboard cutouts of people in the stands.
yeah, baseball's talking about it as well. The Oakland
Baseball in Taiwan does it. Well, now they have fan photo.
Just CGI it, man. Why do you have to put cardboard out there? Like just like green screen it.
Yeah. Well, before we lose everybody because we're talking about cricket instead of Georgia State stuff.
We just did baseball, I think, a little bit.
We did baseball, soccer, and cricket. What's wrong with that?
Before we get started, there's actually one thing I thought of this week while I was browsing around looking at Georgia State stuff. I thought of a new PAC benefit, and I want to know how much money you would donate to the PAC to get this benefit. And here's what I want. When I go to GeorgiaStateSports.com, it does not prompt me to turn off my ad blocker. Like, how much money do you have to give them so they stop annoying me with that ad blocker thing?
I don't ever go to GeorgiaStateSports.com.
You should go to it once.
And
Why?
we can tell that from based on how you can prepare to these things.
Why would I ever go there?
I go there all the time. I mean, go back and
You
look.
guys tell me sooner than anything they post there what's going on.
Well, even
Sure.
even unrelated to this, I mean, sometimes I just want to go and be like, what was the season that we had this schedule? And actually, scores, I tend to go to FB schedules, but I'll go back there.
I got an ESPN. I type Georgia State football ESPN, and it takes me right to the page.
You are one of the mouse. You do whatever the mouse says.
What mouse?
Mickey Mouse. Where you went?
No, but it's an easy format, and it doesn't talk about an ad blocker or anything.
FB schedule is great for that, but no, I go to GeorgiaStateSports.com quite a bit to look back at old stuff. Or their schedule page actually does a great thing where you can see a history. If you want to go look and see what our record is in basketball against, VCU or something like that, it has all the games broken down. And I don't know. I spend a lot of more time than I should.
Like do a pivot table type thing.
No, it's their interface. Actually, the page to get to, you can't even get to directly. You gotta just go to a page and then take off one of the last words of the URL, and then it takes you to the page that has everything else on it. So, but no, I use that all the time. But no, yeah, it's New Line.
It does have ads, yeah.
It's New Line or whatever it is. I have a problem with college websites having ads on in the first place. This is supposed to be their way of getting information to fans. Right. But I get it. It's another point where they can make some money off of ad dollars, which is fine. But as a PAC member, how much money do I have to pay annually to not have to get that crap when I go to the website? That's what I want.
I've actually started using a new browser, Brave browser, which blocks a bunch of crap now. It's built in. And I kind of like it.
Right?
You can what?
You can monetize it yourself. Like you accrue some some kind of monetary thing.
Yeah, you can sign up for getting ads that are tailored to you, and then you can get rewards. You don't have to opt into that, though.
Yeah.
I signed up for it. I don't know. Chrome, long story short, Chrome was acting stupid on my work laptop, and I had to use something else, and I wasn't about to use Edge. So, I went with Brave.
All right. Now, if we have anybody still left listening, now we're talking about browsers. There was some big Georgia State football and basketball news that came out, of course, the day after we recorded last week's episode. In true fashion, they wait until we already recorded everything just to go ahead and put anything out. But Georgia State scheduled a football game at Ole Miss, along with a basketball game at Ole Miss back-to-back on a Friday, Saturday night. it's in 2026, so who knows if the world will even still be here by then. But what do you think about that? Let's go to Tim on this one.
I like the doubleheader. If you can go to both events, I think it's great. I'm all in. I'll go on the trip. Tailgating is supposed to be phenomenal in the Grove, right?
Right.
And then we get to watch men's basketball beat their team, and our football team could beat. No, I mean it's like a double whammy.
Right. Yeah.
Two wins.
I mean, do schools do stuff like this? I mean, I haven't followed college sports across this landscape long enough or in depth enough to know this is cool. This is kind of unprecedented, at least for something that I've followed.
I think it should be our shtick. We should keep doing this and scheduling teams in football and basketball for the same weekend.
The only problem is you're talking about the end of the football season and beginning of the basketball season. So true. Ryan, you gonna make the trip to the Grove?
Yeah, I could do that pretty easily. That's what I was going to add, is that it's pretty drivable. When I just remember the road trip with you to Memphis, and the Grove was halfway there, maybe a little bit further, but
a little bit further. I did the trip before. We ended up playing. I think the last time we played them in basketball was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I go to Memphis for Thanksgiving at the time I did, and so I'm like, all right, great. I'll just swing by that Wednesday night, watch the game. And head up after the game to Memphis, and my trip was awesome. It's a cool little place. Unfortunately, none of the bars are open in the little square area they have in Oxford, right? And nothing was open. But there was one restaurant, actually a regular sit down restaurant. None of the bars.
Wait, why wasn't it open?
Because it was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. No kids were on campus.
Oh yeah, I hear you. But you just got to pull off that clay highway, that they make in Mississippi. That highway that's it's still orange,
Hey, remember when we crossed over the Alabama state line into Mississippi? I'm like, you'll be able to tell when we go.
We just hit a dirt road. We're on a dirt road now.
It's not a dirt road. It's actually an interstate, but it just not getting any kind of federal funding for it whatsoever. They're spending it somewhere else. And there was a big difference going from Alabama to Mississippi.
No, I swear to God, it's made out of clay. Like I'm not even like that. That was a joke that it sounded like a joke that I made, but it wasn't.
Right. But one problem with this though is it's 6 years from now, so who knows? But if scheduling keeps up and we're still in the same conference, this would be the football game we play the week before we play Southern.
That'd be fine.
It's our cup game, right?
It's a tune-up.
Wait.
It's a tune-up game.
If we could win one, which one would you pick?
Southern. Yeah, you always pick that one, right? I mean, there's only one game on the schedule every year.
I'll take an SEC win over Southern.
I think I agree with Tim.
No.
Yeah. No?
I hate that question. It's just such a stupid question.
That's why he asked it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But I think I agree with Tim. I think that means a lot more for our program.
Yeah, another P5?
Yeah, but then they get to go and beat their chest. I mean, it'd be stupid because there's no transitive property of college football unless we're the ones that are benefiting from it. But they get to say that they're better than Ole Miss because they beat us. But who knows? Ole Miss is like a weird SEC team. Who knows what they're going to be like in 6 years from now? Maybe they'll be good. Maybe they'll be crap, and we have a legit shot. But yeah, legit shot of beating them anyways. But
think about the Sports Center feature when we beat them in football and basketball on this, same weekend.
Yeah, right. What happens then?
They'd be all over that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, what would the fans be like? What would the tailgating be like if we go out Friday night to beat them, and then we show up to the Grove to walk around and have some beer with people, and they're like, "Screw you, kids, get out of here, kids." You're
not invited to our tailgates anymore. We don't like you. Yeah,
I like the way you think, though. So this is when Georgia State was doing really, really badly, not just really badly in football. There was some kid on Reddit that went out there and he's like, "Hey guys, will you make Georgia State your second favorite team?" I think he was a student, maybe a freshman or sophomore. And the Reddit community kind of got rallied behind the kid, and they're like, "All right, yeah." And so they predicted that Georgia State was going to win the national championship in 2025. So this would be the year after our national championship year.
Nice.
And
we're close, man. We're coming right up on it. I feel like we're right on schedule. We beat Tennessee last year.
Well, I was about to say that has not gotten forgotten on the Reddit community because when we beat Tennessee, people were posting that exact same thing. Beating Tennessee right on track to that national
championship.
Right on schedule.
Yeah.
Just a tune-up for their national championship run. That's all.
So I'm excited about it, but 6 years from now, it's like you think about all the cool stuff, the fun things, the tailgating, the road trip, the 2 nights over there, and then you're like, all right, and I'll be 6 years older when this all happens.
I'll be 40.
Will you just be 40?
Yeah, I'm 34, man.
Yeah, I'll be turning 48.
Yeah, I'm the baby.
You are the baby.
You are.
I know.
Bringing it back into now, Georgia State actually did something nice for us once. They actually released some legit news this week, yesterday. So
the day before.
And it's actually kind of interesting because I don't think any other schools have done this yet, or I've not paid attention to it. Georgia State announced what their game day plan is going to be for college football this fall.
The good news is we have a plan. I like it.
So yeah,
it's huge
about it. Like I never read anything about it.
Well, so yeah, you and I talked about it a little bit. So isn't it kind of funny that we're the ones that actually have a plan and a published plan out there before anybody else?
Yeah, I just like to say that's us GSUing it.
Getting out ahead of it.
That's what that means. That's what that means now. We're changing it up.
The Sunbelt Commissioner, all the other ADs are like, slapping their forehead going, "We weren't supposed to release this yet. What the hell are you guys doing?"
Doing it the right way, the Georgia State way.
All right, so Ryan, you did not pay attention, so you got no idea what the plan is then, right?
No, explain it to me like I've never heard it before in my life because I haven't.
It wasn't in a Charlie Cobb email, so
of course I didn't read it. Yeah, you're right.
No, I mean there wasn't a lot to it. It was kind of all the things you expected. They will be trying to have fans up to 50% capacity.
Nice. That's what we kind of expected, right?
Right, and they're saying up to 12 to 13,000 fans.
Oh, so all of our fans.
Right. So I mean, exactly. I mean,
Give or take,
We'll
yeah.
just be spaced out. We'll have like red X's on like every second chair or something, every 2 chairs.
so yeah, they're doing a checkerboard pattern with the seating, which I guess that means we're probably not going to be getting our exact seats that we've had throughout the time, potentially. I mean, some
You
people
think
may.
maybe like families could still be together though, right? I mean,
Yeah, they said they'll be in 8-seat sections, but nobody in front of or behind each other.
Okay.
With so many seats in between from the angles and stuff. Any of the walkways with the players or any people would go by, they won't have seating right in front of that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, the one thing they didn't mention was tailgating whatsoever at all. That didn't come up in their official press release.
But we know about that, right? I thought I vaguely, I don't even read the text you guys send me, but I remember something about on the bricks being in there somewhere.
Yeah, Tim, you talked to
yeah.
University.
So someone on one of the Facebook groups posted a question about tailgating, and they said we would do tailgating just more spaced out, and then obviously recommendations on how to keep your tailgate as safe as possible as well. Recommendations.
Yeah, and masks will be requested but not required. Hey, Courtney, go GSU.
They will.
Maybe they could require masks with straws attached to them, so we can.
They have those apparently. I've seen them.
Yeah.
So the one caveat to that, David, that you don't know about is the USG and Georgia State. Any indoor part of any campus building or anything, you have to wear a mask. So I did ask about that. So if you have club level seats and you're sitting in club, once you go from outside to inside, you have to put a mask on, and then once you're outside again, you could take it off again.
I probably just wear a mask the whole time I'm there anyway. Like, it's not a big deal.
I
But
would not wear it at my seat. I mean, I'd probably put it
well,
on.
once I'm in my seat, I'd probably take it off. But like when I'm walking around, I would just wear a mask. But they should provide. Yeah. They should. I mean, that's an excellent opportunity. Like with a Panther head on it, like that'd be rad.
Well, by provide you mean sell them for money.
No. They should have like a giveaway. Like they gave away shirts for a long time. Like just have masks. They're not that expensive.
No, I mean, I'm sure they'll get a sponsor to do that. Like, was it Georgia Zone or Max or somebody that are sponsoring everything else that we do?
Oh my God. I would love to wear like a Georgia State mask that had a Panther head and Max liquor on it or whatever is wine and beer, whatever.
Beer and wine, yeah. So, brief sidebar.
With a straw hole, right?
Yeah, gotta have a straw hole. Yeah, so brief sidebar talking about Max on my friends group chat that I have, my non-GSU friends group chat. I don't try to like segregate my friend groups, but these are my friends I had before I met you guys. Anyhow, a guy tells me he went to Max to get some drinks, and a guy pulled up there in a red Craftsman riding lawnmower. And I'm like, all right, that's interesting.
In Midtown?
In Midtown, it's interesting.
Like, I don't even have a big problem with, like, somebody riding the riding mower there, but, like, where was he coming from in Midtown?
Okay, so here's the next part of the story. 2 or 3 hours later, I'm sitting at my couch and looking out the window, a red riding mower goes down, and I'm like, what? So I text the group, and I'm like, I just saw this, and was it a Craftsman? I don't know. It's possible. It's just a coincidence. That guy has been going up and down my street ever since this is probably since Saturday. I saw him 3 times today while I was working from this office here. And so apparently I've got a neighbor of mine that frequents Max. I was like, I need to go follow the guy, just find out where he's from or where he's going. Worst case scenario, I end up at Max.
It's a long distance.
He frequents Max by riding his riding mower all the way from where you live to Midtown.
I know. I live
not close.
I mean, I'm in City of Atlanta proper, but you guys know this is not a quick
You're
drive.
not close at all.
No, I mean, like when I go to Max, I get on the interstate. I get on 20 and I get on 85. I mean, where's this guy? I don't know. I mean, is he pulling the lawnmower onto MARTA and like taking it up there to like North Avenue or Midtown Station?
What is he buying?
All the way up Ponce.
Gas.
Like literally past Greens on his way.
Right.
Oh,
yeah, he passes Greens.
There's multiple liquor stores right around here that I could walk to if I wanted to. I don't need a riding lawnmower.
There must be some secret bourbon or something that Max only has that he has to go there for. I don't know. I'm
Or
at a
there's
loss.
2 people riding around riding mowers in Atlanta, one of which who lives in Midtown where there's no grass.
Yeah.
He's the groundskeeper at Piedmont Park, is who it is.
Yeah, right? What the heck?
All right, yeah, I didn't mean to bring that up tonight, but yeah, since
But you,
Max
but you
come up.
did.
But
No,
yeah,
it's
no,
great.
I would suspect they would probably try to get a sponsor to do some masks, whether they be disposable or reusable or something. But yeah, I mean, but it also would be a good opportunity for a moneymaker to sell officially licensed masks. But
Right. And some of the other stuff they talked about that asked questions, like they're going to follow whatever the guidelines are. If the governor says you have to wear a mask, we'll wear masks.
right.
If the mayor says you have to wear a mask, we'll wear masks.
Well, that's
Georgia
what
State says it, Sunbelt says it. Like, basically, if any one of those things says you have to wear a mask, it'll be mandated.
they're going to follow the rules by the government that owns them, basically. But yeah, what if you could get a mask that's just the mouth of the Panther head logo, like right there, all blue, and you can just look like you have that same mouth
With a T?
Maybe you can they'll even come with accompaniment, like little ear thing, like headpieces with the ears coming out for
I
the.
think you're giving away stuff that your wife could make, David.
But can she make money off of it? So if
Maybe.
so they say 12 to 13,000 fans. I mean, honestly, I know we report like 15 to 17, but we all know the fuzzy math on that.
Yeah, I think.
Woo!
Do you
Sold
think
out
that-
crowd.
Do you think we still get 12 to 13,000 that show up to the games?
No. I mean, I can tell you, like the thing that
Maybe the first
that I
one.
learned this weekend is that that's not going to happen. You have a lot of people that are going to stay home and just watch it however they can, and there's going to be people who want to be there. So we're definitely not going to fill up the stadium.
Sure.
We're not going to fill it, that's for sure. But
I mean, even at half capacity or whatever, we're not going to.
are you guys still on board for going to the games?
Yeah.
I'm on board for going to games. Yeah, I think it was interesting to see Panther talk about this, and I think Panama said open the upper deck, which pretty much not needed. Like 12K, which we know won't be 12K. It'll probably be like 6 to 7K.
I mean, we're going to be. We could probably still use just the lower bowl and socially
and
distance
not have club. Yeah,
I
accordingly.
do still want to be in the club level. There's the reason that I pay the extra for that is because it's shaded. Like literally,
Sure.
like the rain doesn't bother me, the sun doesn't bother me. It's all good, and I don't
agree,
you know,
and I like that view. I like being the first row. Well, I'm not first row, but like when I look at seats at stadiums or anything, I'd rather be first row on the second level than like 20 rows back on the first level. I have a much better view. Like when the Final Four was supposed to be here this past season, and I was able to buy tickets to the Final Four through my Falcons tickets, I could have gotten the last row in the bottom level, or the first row in the second level. I'm like, for the same price. I'm like, that's obvious. I'm going to go for the higher row to get the better view. So yeah, I would still sit in our club seats or wherever they reposition me in the club seats. But I agree, Ryan. I picked mine specifically to be under an overhang. And so if we are playing games in September, I want to be in that shade. And if we have rainy games, I want to be under that cover as well.
And look, if you want to take that from me, they can just put me in a suite all by myself, and that'll be fine.
I remember
if they gave you a suite all by yourself, you would not be by yourself. We would all be jumping in there together.
You'd be allowed. Also, I don't have COVID. I won't have COVID by then because I have it now, probably.
You probably have it now. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the ticket selection and the seat selection. That was kind of fun to go there and like ask them questions, look at the map, figure out the best seats. Like I think from the initial like render they had of the field, it actually shifted slightly. And so if you pick certain seats, you actually got further away from the 50, which was me.
Yeah. Well, they kind of tricked you with that too. Because when I went, they're like, all right, so this is the section you can pick. You could have picked from any section over there, but they kind of like dropped everybody up to one section. I guess they were trying to like spread things out. So, and I think I ended up picking a seat in the section they actually brought me to, but I walked around quite a bit to try to get a better view. And I really debated big time about whether I wanted that first row in the second level or a few rows back under the shade. And at the time had, was she on the way or she was already here? And yeah, the little one, the big kid was either here or on the way at the time. And I was like, you know what, if we're going to have these seats for the next 20 years, I need to be in a place where the kid's not going to be burnt to a crisp or, dripping wet during the rain. So
Yeah.
I like my seats though.
I
Also
was
me.
lucky.
So like also me. I mean like like, who cares about the kid? Like, I don't want to be miserable.
True.
Kids can deal with it, man.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
old
so-
now. I'm
so,
old.
yeah,
I told you, I'll be 40 soon.
I used the kid as an excuse, but I really wanted to be that first row because I was first row at the Georgia Dome, but I was like first row lower level, and I was like I wanted to be first row just to be first row. But I was like it doesn't make sense to do it just because
Yeah.
it makes sense.
When I actually chose my seats, it had just rained, so I got to see where the rain could get to.
Yeah.
And I chose the row one after that, and that's it. And I was like, I'm not moving from this row, any of these sections.
Yeah, it turns out row 1 is not cool because there's like a giant puddle of water there, and I end up moving back one every year.
Yeah.
Tim, aren't you on the same row as me?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think you're one up from me.
One up because
at the end. Yeah.
I remember the same thing. It was not raining when I went there, but I went there and I kind of like stood in a row and I looked up and I'm like, all right, this is directly under the overhang comes over this. I'm going to pick one row back from that just to ensure there's not too much going on.
I do still get rained on. I don't get sunned on, but I get rained on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we talk about the tailgating for a second. Yeah, I think I heard the same thing through some other outlets that the tailgating was they were planning on it. They were just going to take that whole on the bricks concept they had last season and just spread it out. So there's more
on the bricks wide.
Spread over that entire plaza, and I think make some additional space available that wasn't available before so that everybody can still have that space and be out there and tailgate. And if there is a Panther walk, that they still get to see a lot of fans. So, but there was no mention of other tailgating outside the stadium. So I would assume that would be available.
We should also come up with some way of flagging like people that are okay with contact or not okay with contact and things like that.
Like a scarlet letter, maybe?
Wristbands.
Well, yeah, wristbands. That's what I found out this weekend is that, like, there's plenty of people who are just like, this is fine. And there's other people that are like, no, don't touch me. Like, get away from me. And, like, you just need a way to flag that.
Yeah, I saw that for people doing that for returning back to offices. And so I don't care in general if people want to engage with me, but I don't care for my coworkers that much. So I would just wear the band that says, don't talk.
The red band.
Look at me. Actually go home right now. I don't want you to be here.
Yeah. Wear the red band and be like, go away.
Yeah.
But I'll still hug you, man. Don't worry.
Is that not like scarlet lettery, like marking people with how they want to be associated with other?
It's a respect thing. It's a respect thing. Is the way that it was taken in my experience.
Doesn't the swinging community do that with like if you wear certain bracelets on your arm or paint a certain fingernail or something?
No, dude. It's the gays and it's colored bandanas.
Well, bandanas are perfectly used for masks now.
So it's your right pocket, your right back pocket. It's your right or your left is receiving or giving. And
you know a lot about this.
And the color is the thing that you enjoy.
You know a lot about this. Maybe
it's a great idea. That's why I know a lot about it, because I was like, holy crap, this is the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone tell me about.
Well, there was that thing back in high school. Well, it wasn't when I was out of high school. I think it was my sisters in high school, and that was the thing when they were telling me about it. They didn't do it, of course, but they were telling me about it. And it was girls would wear different colored bracelets of things that they were up for. And if a guy grabbed it and popped it and was able to break it off of her wrist, then they were going to do that thing. And I'm like, wow, I went to high school in the wrong time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because
that's the name.
Everybody is literally just telling you what they're up for. Like, isn't that a better world?
It is kind of a better world.
Nothing like nothing
makes it so much easier.
There's no mystery. You're just like, yeah, I'm into that thing too. Let's not have 3 dates before we get to it. Let's just do it.
And there's nothing like starting off something like that with a little bit of assault first. Like, here, let me grab your wrist and rip the thing off your. I think the fact that the girls
attack you first.
the fact the girls are wearing the bracelets was already establishing what they were into. So
we're
way off topic.
The last call topic.
Yeah, it is. Remind me of that one. Maybe an episode title. Maybe an episode title could be the bracelets that I wear.
We can update the fans on what it's really called in last call.
Exactly.
I guess one other thing about the seating thing, I think they're going to call people, obviously club levels is a challenge. Everyone's congested into like 2.5 sections. So they're going to obviously call in, I think, early August to kind of space us all out across club level. So obviously, if anyone listening, you're sitting in the club, they're going to call you, ask you for your preferences. I think if you don't want to be in club, they'll gladly seat you in the lower level as well. So you have options.
And I'm sure that probably they would like to have a lot of people, not a lot, but they would like to have a more representation in the lower levels as well. Because that's one of the things that I noticed when we started playing there. People that were paying for those higher priced, lower level, like mid 50-yard line seats, like their equivalent seats now were up in technically the 300 level, right? Because the 200 is kind of goes up. But
Right.
anyhow, we took a lot of people from close to the field, so the players, TV cameras, they see less people down there, right there next to the on the field. So
We just need to build the other side of the stadium, that second level, and then flip the cameras over there and point it back to the home side.
There's no way we ever do that. There's no way we ever do that.
I say we do it.
There's no reason. Why? Why would you waste your money on that?
I agree. I mean, if you just want to put
They will.
a big tower up there with one camera to film from that angle or something,
I'm down.
that's fine.
I'm down with that.
There's no reason. Now,
That could just be like a little erector set thing too, with like a robot camera up there.
Or just drones. By then, it's just drones, right?
Yeah.
Just hover.
Talking Georgia State here, so you know what it's going to be? It's going to be one of those just like construction facility things where they have like the crane that goes straight up. I think they had it at the 188 MLK for the practice facility to film practices from above. So,
Yeah.
So that's where they'd roll it over there where the food trucks are supposed to be and hold that thing up, and that would be the official ESPN camera of the mid-game footage.
Of that side of the field.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, John.
He's been there for a while. Did you see Josh Jones is on, man?
Hey, Josh.
Oh, Josh.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.
You missed out on the Atlanta United chat. Sorry.
I'm sure he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, womp womp.
But yeah, so no, it was good to see a plan for the game day. Surprising that Georgia State was the one to put it out there. You didn't hear it from a conference or from another school, or I mean, really any other school first. So
I think only Texas State had a statement. They didn't talk. It's not as detailed as ours, but Texas State's basically saying no tailgating. That's it. So far, that's all they've gotten to.
And that's impressive. The state of Texas is going to tell people what they can do about drinking. That's
Well,
I've never been to San Marcos, so I don't want to sound like that. What's that, Ryan?
you guys are invited to my house to tailgate if they don't allow tailgating for whatever reason. No one else.
Everyone on this podcast that's listening.
All 5 watchers right now on Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but I think that once we actually have some games to talk about, we may get a few more.
It'll get big. It will get bigger. Yeah.
So to go back into the past, Georgia State's been doing some Twitter poll in the best plays tournament. So there's been, I guess there's 8 total best plays that have been vying for competition to find out what the best play is in Georgia State history. I think few are a stretch, but I was wrong. Last week I said I guaranteed the last matchup was going to include Will Lutz, and he was not in it.
He got shafted, man. Right?
I'm surprised because, and I'll tell you, there's another thing that happened this week that goes into why I'm surprised about it. Because I feel like once you have a player in the NFL, you're really trying to like do everything you can to keep those guys happy and make them really, you know, be happy they were part of Georgia State, so that maybe one day when they get that big check, they'll write slip a little coin your way.
Yeah.
So I figured that's why they would make sure that Will was involved there. But there was a competition between Albert Wilson versus Terrace Batiste. So it was Wilson's Arkansas State game that we did not win versus Terrace Batiste in the Georgia Southern game that we won 34-7.
Yeah.
So I thought this was going to be a blowout win for Batiste. Like, how do you not win? That's one of the signature wins in our school history.
Wilson's got the fan draw, right? I mean,
it was 50-50. It was exactly down the line for so Georgia State says. They said it's 50-50, but Twitter gave a little blue check mark to the Terry Batiste. Yet on Twitter, Georgia State says that it was tied. So they went to a coin flip and Albert won. I'm like, yeah. Oh, how interesting that Albert Wilson, the guy that got the big payday from the Dolphins a few years ago, who's still in the NFL, if the NFL still exists, got that little buy-in there. But
Have they not announced anything? The NFL, like the Falcons, have they said anything?
Yeah, they emailed you, David.
yeah, well, I was talking to Arthur the other day when we were doing lunch, and no,
You don't call him
I
Artie.
mean,
You're not that in. You guys aren't that tight.
he's a busy man. So, and now he's single. He's out there faluting and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
he's single. I should start wearing my bandanas.
Yes, you should. What is a red and black bandana? We'll say that for last call.
I'll wear my rich old white. Oh, okay. Save it for
Okay,
last.
back to the poll,
You're right.
David. What's going on with it? So Albert Wilson won.
So Albert Wilson won, and
With a
so he's
coin
going
flip.
up. I think it ended today, and
It did.
unless something dramatic happened, the poll today was Chase Middleton versus Western Kentucky in that bowl game, going against Dan Ellington in the upset. And yeah, obviously, like I think it was over 80% that Dan was winning by.
It's 89 to 11%.
And that's even higher than I think it was like 82 or something when I saw it. So yeah, and that would make sense. That makes
So who's going to be? Who are you going to vote for, guys? Are you going to vote for Dan Ellington? Or
I know my
Albert
history's
Wilson?
not been good on this, but it's got to be Dan. The upset is the biggest game in Georgia State's football history. So
Easy.
yeah.
Dan the man's going to win it all.
And I'm so glad that Georgia State decided to go trying to steal some money from Albert Wilson by giving him the edge in this whole thing, because I'm glad that Georgia Southern's not in our championship for anything. I mean, they would lose either way, but
Right.
I like them losing any chance they get.
But that probably is the two most iconic wins for Georgia State. That just utter beatdown at
34-7? Yeah.
and
that was
upset.
awesome.
I mean, that's probably 1 and 2 right there. I mean, Tennessee is number 1 by far. I mean,
Well,
maybe,
there were turnovers there too, right? That was
I mean,
Batiste had a couple of turnovers, right?
yeah, he had I think 2 interceptions and like a fumble return or something.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. To me, that wins.
Defense, I will give the edge to, but just the scope of what actually happened because of that game, like the Georgia State beating Southern was huge to us and detrimental to them.
And if it was 3 turnovers, by the third turnover, were you not had you not lost your voice? I mean,
Yeah, and Prue on Facebook's agreeing. Dan, that win made waves. Yeah, and John says it was a poorly seeded bracket. I agree, John.
probably.
So,
well, who cares? Somebody's
It
got
was rigged.
it's nice, but I wish they would have gotten more attention to it, because if you started looking at the votes, because Twitter tells you how many people voted in all of them, and it actually was an even number on that tie, so maybe it truly was a tie, and their random number generator picked.
10 to 9.
But no, the numbers dropped dramatically. Like from the first round of numbers of votes, it was like cut in half by the end of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I think Dan's gonna win. I can't imagine anything unless there's just some Southern trolls that are watching this, which we know they do, and they decide to organize their Twitter troll army to vote against us just to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
You know what, though? No matter what, Georgia State wins. So who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
I agree, yeah, because it's our stupid poll, and they're giving us attention, and we're getting Twitter points. So.
I mean, that game where we beat the crap out of them 34-7 was awesome to be at. I mean, I was sitting in the upper deck. Like, there were Southern fans 10 feet away, and they were drunk, and they were super pissed off and cursing and saying lots of curse words to us. They went through, like, all the emotions, right? They were, like, super pumped up. You suck. Georgia State's terrible. To we hate you. F everything.
No, the denial, the anger, the acceptance.
And then they apologized. He came over. He like hugged me. It was the weirdest thing ever. He's like, "I'm sorry, man. I know I was saying all kinds of curse words and whatever. You guys are great. Blah blah blah. I was an asshole. Oops, sorry."
It's fine.
It was kind of the like weirdest experience because I would look over every so often at him, like, what is this guy's problem?
I don't want to hear
losing.
anything about a Georgia Southern fan being nice and
He
whatever.
was. I got.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I was impressed. He came over. We're all scared, like he's gonna do something crazy.
You got to go crazy.
No, that's
And
good.
he apologized and hugged me, and I was like, "Okay, get off me."
See, I'm glad to hear that because, like, my experiences with Southern fans, I've never had a good experience with a Southern fan rooting for their team. I do have some friends of mine that are good friends who went to Southern, and our interactions when it has nothing to do with college sports, some of my best friends. But as soon as there's a game being played, like literally, it's my best friends turn into the biggest
Turn a-holes.
I don't want to associate with and be around. And I'm like, I'm not even saying anything. Like when we won, like one of my buddies texted me during that 34-7 win. He's like, "Good game." There was like 10 minutes left, and I'm like, "No, my team's never."
No, Georgia State. We haven't had a chance to
literally
GSU this yet.
It was like the last 2 minutes where I was just like, oh, I think we won, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so Tim, before we got on, you're telling me that this 11 Alive sports moment competition came to an end. Is that what it is?
It's not to an end yet, but as expected, Atlanta United fans found something that had a poll with Atlanta United in it and started voting the shit out of it.
Yeah, there was another poll going on in Atlanta, social media poll going on that Georgia State was up for, and it was the best 2019 Atlanta sports moment. And to their credit, 11 Alive included Georgia State's win against Tennessee as one of the best moments out of 5? Yeah.
And we were winning for days. I mean, I think Atlanta United just surpassed us probably Monday, maybe. I think Sunday, maybe into Monday morning, we were still winning, but barely. And now Atlanta United surging ahead, 39%. We're second.
They're up from when I put this down a few minutes, or an hour or two ago. Yeah. I mean, considering there's 5 in contention, it's pretty close. When I had it was 35% United. Actually, no, what I saw it. It was 35% Braves clinching the 19th divisional title, and it was 26% Georgia State.
It says 10% Braves, 16% Tigers.
Maybe I got it wrong.
24.6 Georgia State and 39.
Yeah.
Atlanta United win the 2019 Camper
I've voted multiple times. Every time I pull the page up, it lets me vote again. So I just
listen.
And not that I've not been refreshing and hitting vote all the time. I'm just saying when I've been doing this and looking to see where the numbers were, I pull it back up. It lets me vote. I'm like, well, I'm going to vote again. So
anytime United fans get their hands on a Twitter poll, it's over.
And they're all upset after Saturday's game, so they need something to make them feel better. They need a win.
They need a free win, which is Twitter votes.
So
on a poll.
So not that it's that big of a deal, but I did think it was interesting some of the things they put in there. Like one of the top Atlanta sports moment was Tiger Woods winning the Masters. Like
it's not Atlanta, first of all.
It's not. It's geographically not Atlanta. And then Tiger Woods, he's not like Tiger's from Atlanta, or he identifies as like Evander Holyfield is an Atlanta boxer. He lives here in Atlanta. But Tiger Woods is I don't even know where Tiger Woods is from, but
Florida probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he lives in Florida.
Ah, good guess.
Be convenient. Did you see him when you're down there? So
we partied every night. Yeah.
Well, then he gave you the Coro then, huh?
Well, he knows what's what down there, so his wife did not come with us for sure. 100%.
So between hanging out in the MLS bubble, going to Disney World, hanging out with Tiger Woods, how did you fit in libertarian anything?
I do what I do, man. I'm good at it. So.
The other one they had was Trae Young from the Hawks getting an All-Star invite. Like just getting an All-Star invite is equivalent to I don't know. All right.
9.45%. Obviously not a big deal.
Tim, did you go through the other categories they had on that?
I scrolled past one of them yesterday, and I was like, oh, there's some Georgia State esports person on
Yeah,
this
I was surprised by that. There was esports. Apparently, Georgia State has 2 national championships in esports.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the only things you can play right now with COVID.
They spelled the guy's name differently in the description and then actually in the voting poll. So I don't know what his name is, but it looks like one of the ways was Prideful Gade. He captained Georgia State to 2 national collegiate championships playing the game Smite. So I knew that we had that esports thing, whatever, and
right.
maybe considering the state of college athletics right now, we should dedicate a lot more of this podcast into esports and Georgia State's esports.
That's fair. I think we probably should include them at least.
Yeah. Well, it's not really it's obviously not an NCAA sanctioned thing, but it is an intercollegiate.
Yeah.
It will be.
My second question is, what is Smite? I have never even heard of that game. I mean, I'm out of the video game world, but I've never heard of. I mean, I've heard of Fortnite. I know of.
Heard of Fortnite.
I've got no idea what the game Smite is.
It sounds familiar. I think is it a card game? No. Oh, it's a MMO type thing.
Isn't that what a god does? He smites you down with his.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's called Smite Battleground of the Gods. It's like a fighting game for gods, I think.
All right.
Third-person multiplayer online battle arena video game.
Well, I guess that's why Georgia State's so good at it, because we're the gods of smiting.
Okay. Hey, what else is going on, David?
I don't even know if I want to talk about it or not, but Athlon, they released their Sunbelt predictions, football.
Lots of research.
Yeah. Ryan, did you send that to me, or is that what you
I think you did, yeah.
You're taking credit for that?
I didn't say anything.
I don't know. You started pointing at yourself. I don't know if you were taking credit for sending me that.
No, I was saying we're number one.
Yes.
You think Athlon does that much research now?
Yeah, no, I think they do just enough research to understand that we're number one.
Do a lot.
It doesn't take much to understand that, right?
Even with your blue goggles on, you're going to say Georgia State's the best football team in the Sun Belt? I mean,
next year. Yeah. Because I don't have any basis to say anybody else is the best. I'll just say us. Why not? Who cares?
Well, they ranked Georgia State the 4th in the East Division.
Well, they're clearly wrong.
Although to be fair, I think that in the West, I don't know, but yeah, they give us a 4th. I don't hate it. They were
definitely not 5th, all right? That Chanticleer place is.
So when I say they're wrong, I am almost assuredly right because I have a much higher probability of being right that we're not going to be 4.
That's true. Yes,
and it's pretty much random.
They were spot on their breakdown of where Georgia State is, what they need for this season. But it's not that big of a surprise. It's replace Dan Ellington.
What?
And get a better defense. I'm like, well, yeah.
What?
Yeah, but they did give one credit. They said
and we're going to get our national championship in 2025 as predicted. Doesn't matter.
As someone said, on the internet, so it's got to be true. But they also did say we have a lot of returning talent, a lot of returning experience. So they paid a little bit of attention to it. They have
a tough schedule, right?
They have Troy right over us in 3rd place. So I can kind of get it. You people point out. But one thing I thought was interesting is they listed the teams they thought that would be bowl eligible. And they did not list Troy, who's in 3rd place. They did not list Georgia State, but their very first line was, if they can replace Dan Ellington, they'll be bowl eligible. It's all about quarterback play.
We got plenty of those.
I know we have a cornucopia of quarterbacks.
We don't know whichever one's greatest or the best.
Yeah, now if any of them are good.
Right. I will say that I'm kind of pulling for the Michael Colasandro guy from South Carolina for no other reason. There's one reason why I'm pulling for him. One reason. Whenever I go to Twitter to try to just look at Georgia State stuff, he's retweeting and tweeting everything about Georgia State and sports in general. And I just kind of like the energy about the whole deal. I mean, it's right there with Dan Ellington. Dan Ellington's a big tweeter about stuff, the Georgia State, everything.
He's got a good social game.
He's a coach now, so he's kind of trying to push the program. But, I just see his name more. So it's kind of like the whole mentality of politics. You see enough signs on the side of the road, you vote for that person. So I'm pulling for Michael because I see his name.
Wait,
Twitter feed.
That's how it works?
What do all the stats people say, David?
The stats.
Who's our quarterback? Yeah.
I don't know.
Muhammad from Vanderbilt?
I would assume the Vandy guy is the front runner.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we had the backup from last season for Dan.
Jamil Muhammad?
Yeah, that's who I would imagine is the backup. I mean, is the starter.
Starter, right, yeah.
P5 transfer, Your
P5 transfer is always going to get the benefit of it.
He was a 4-star, right?
Is he 4? I don't know. He could be.
I thought he was, and then he's like in the mold of Dan too, where he's like athletic.
I'll take it. I will support whatever.
We'll get our stats department right on that.
John, what's the dealio? John, get us this information as soon as possible.
Who is the backup, John? I mean, wait. God, I keep saying
Starter.
Who is the starter?
All right. Well,
I've been drinking for a while before this.
He's a pro style quarterback, and he was a 3-star.
Oh man, I'm making everything up. I am just whatever. I'll just say stuff. It doesn't matter.
John does say, "I love that every day." Jamil Muhammad tweets, "Nobody cares. Work harder."
Every single day?
Well, if he does
That's
that, Dan
consistent.
Ellington tweets or used to tweet every single day, "Good morning, God bless." So, I mean, that's a dedication or a
No,
bot.
I might start tweeting that every day. I might take a page out of his book and just steal that and just
Are you going to tweet it or retweet it?
maybe mix it up. I don't know.
That'd be the best way of doing it. Like, I'm gonna go and be like, talk about how hard you got to work, but I'm too lazy to do it. So I'll just retweet this guy.
Oh, I still push content all the time, literally all the time. I'm like, that's a good message. I'm just gonna take it.
Yeah, that's what memes are all about, right?
That's right. And, well, memes are easier to take, and I can justify it in my head, and I feel a lot less guilty because usually there's a watermark. So I just will copy and paste it, and I won't share it, but I'll copy and paste it. But I leave the watermark.
Just go ahead and like take your Twitter handle and like blast that right over the watermark.
Just black it out and put mine on it. Yeah.
That's also more effort you got to put into it now.
Yeah. I'm not working that hard.
All right, there was one big thing I wanted to get to before we call it quits tonight, and before heading to the last call at least. Some big news came out that we kind of talked about last week. Last week, Michigan, there was an SI article about talking to Michigan, how they're going to be likely going to an all-conference only schedule. And sure enough, since last week, the Big Ten did announce that they are going conference only, and the Pac-12 has said the same thing. The ACC has alluded to it, and then the SEC and Big 12 have said they're holding off until the end of the month to make a decision. So obviously college football follows whatever P5 does. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I don't think there's any rush for anyone to say what they're doing. You don't have to right now. You have time. It gives the time. You can have a plan. You can have ideas. You don't need to say it right this second. We have time to figure things out. We have times to not even play college football in the fall, but you don't need to say it right now. It's not the time to say it.
Yeah, so that echoes exactly what Charlie Cobb said today on his interview with Nick Cellini and Chris Dimino, was that, and obviously, no one's going to take lead from what the Sun Belt does, but them basically saying that you can wait. You have till the end of July to really make a decision about what happens. So that's why they've not posted anything out there. So Ryan, do you think that going to a conference-only schedule like really makes a difference or helps or anything?
Helps us?
No, I'm talking about now. This is just college sports in general. Is it a good thing for a school, for the players and whatever, to go conference only? And
no, because you got to, especially for Sunbelt, you got to step outside, but also for the bigger programs, like there are people who are bottom rung in the conference and top rung in the conference, and you got to reach out and like start playing other people so that you can start understanding like what the comparisons are. And I know there's no transitive property, but like it helps people understand who the best team is if they're playing people like similar competitors. So you can't play people in your conference.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's not something that I'd thought about before, but yeah, I think that some of your bottom level P5 programs, maybe when they're bowl eligible, maybe their 4 wins are coming out of conference. Maybe it's coming from their FCS win and some G5 wins versus actually winning conference games to get himself over 6 games. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Do you think that, Tim, so one of the things that's been going big on the social media was, does it make sense to do conference only? A lot of people are butthurt about it being, well, if you're going to cancel a game, why does it matter if you're canceling a out of conference game versus a conference game? Like, why would you get in a plane and fly across country to play a conference opponent because you're in a crappy conference that can't get regionalized versus playing that FCS program that lives 2 hours away on a bus trip. So,
I mean, I think, honestly, obviously, they probably don't want to travel that far. So if they could just get all the teams to kind of reschedule into geographic areas that are busable, I think that would probably be the best. And then you could have out-of-conference games and your conference games. Obviously, we don't have a conference. We can't bus to our entire conference. Like, some of the schools are too far away. We have to drop some of them and, keep the ones that are closer. But I mean, I understand what, like today on the 6A The Fan, I get it. We want to play Alabama. We also want the paycheck. We need the money, frankly. I mean, I know we're geared to be able to be okay without it, but I think it definitely helps offset some of the expenses. So
I think the G5s are in a very unique position here, and the Sun Belt maybe more so than some of the others. I think the G5 conferences, specifically Sun Belt, stays still and does nothing. And if the P5s want to go conference only, that's okay. If the FCS wants to fold the season, or they still want to try to play, or maybe the FCS wants to do FCS games only or something like that, that's fine. Let's go into the season saying our schedule. We are playing our schedule as is. If there's any team that does not want to come here or us go there, that's fine. So we're talking about potentially that really being the Bama game getting canceled, the Murray State game getting canceled, and then is it? I know it's ECU. Is it Charlotte? Is the other one?
It's Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte. That's fine. So maybe those games happen. Maybe those games don't happen. But it's the best thing for Georgia State, for the Sun Belt teams, because now if once everything's said and done, Georgia State can be like, all right, Bama, we didn't back out of our season. Because one of the things you're saying is, if the Sun Belt cancels their out-of-conference schedule, then we have no way to get that money from Alabama. I mean, we probably won't get paid from Alabama.
They actually might get paid from us if we cancel before they do.
Well, that's also true. But I'm saying if the P5 teams cancel their schedules and we cancel our out-of-conference schedules, then there's no way. We're like, well, you canceled your out-of-conference. We're not paying you for a game that you weren't going to play in the first place. But if we hold tight and let everybody else cancel on us, if Murray State cancels on us, then we don't pay them the $350 that we supposedly owe them. But we at least have an argument to Bama. I mean, we probably won't get paid. Though, I mean, I'm sure all this stuff will get washed out.
It's somewhere in contracts, right?
Millions of dollars going around, but at least we have an argument. Well, no, we were willing to play. And actually, I think if SEC goes conference only, we put our players on several buses, and we go right out to Tuscaloosa, and we show up there outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're like, we're here. Are you forfeiting? We accept no cancellation. Are you forfeiting? Are you saying that in the record books of 2020, Alabama lost their game to Georgia State by forfeit?
Sure.
That's I'm with you. Can we talk Charlie Cobb into it? You think he's into it?
I'm sure if you'll pay for the buses, then he'll definitely do it.
We'll never play Alabama again.
We'll probably never play.
That would be the last time. Yeah.
And we end our SEC career by beating Auburn the following year and Ole Miss in 6 years. And
no. National championship the year before that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's the replay. Yeah, Bama says they won't schedule us again, and we meet him in the college football playoff, and we beat him for the championship.
Yes.
I like where this is going. Yeah.
Dark horse, Georgia State, the 4 seed against Alabama.
So that's one of the things I think could be really cool about this season. I think if all the conferences, whether they want to go conference only or not, and just start playing, and as players, as coaches, as states start shutting things down, like we're not going to play for health safety reasons, you have no idea what teams are going to end up in the college football playoff. You could very easily have a G5, multiple G5s in the playoffs, because
it's going to be a weird season for sure.
It's like, well, this team won 8 games and you only won 4. Like, yeah, but it was like San Jose State that won 8 games against 3 FCS opponents, and it was Bama that won 4 games, but they only played 4 games. Oh, well, they have 8-4, so I'm saying,
yeah,
San Jose State to the college football playoff.
Too low a sample size.
It could be fun, and especially, I think I mentioned this before, going every morning on game day, like give teams up until game day goes on air to make a decision, And so you turn on game day first thing in the morning, and this starts coming through which teams are forfeiting that day, which teams are canceling their games that day.
I think
Forfeit report.
That is coming closer and closer to being accurate.
I think it'd be awesome. As much as I would hate it, that would be so much fun. You'd have no idea. You'd have no idea if your team is even going to be on ESPN that day. Like, if this is the ranking, again, we're going to show one of these 16 games, depending on which one actually ends up happening that day. It'd be a lot of fun. So, that's my opinion.
So
I hope that means there actually is some football, and there's some football being canceled.
Yeah, well,
there's 100% going to be football.
One of my
I hope
concerns
so.
is that one of the suggestions I saw was the P5s move to, and it wasn't a suggestion such that do this because it doesn't matter about player safety, but what if the P5s decided to stay or move to spring, and the G5 said, we're going to take this opportunity to be the only show on TV in the fall, and the G5s play there. I hate that idea.
You hate it.
I hate that idea.
You don't want to be on TV? You don't want to be relegated from ESPN Plus up to ESPN?
I think that it adds another argument to that whole thing about G5.
The wedge.
P5 and G5 being separate and letting G5 have their championship and P5 having theirs. I think you don't want to do anything. I think whatever the P5s do, the G5s follow. Like the conference only thing, G5s can play whatever they want to play, but I think as far as when they play, I think the G5 should follow whatever the P5s do.
Yeah, you keep saying that like it's not already true.
Right.
Well, no, but I'm saying, yes, there is that line in the sand that's drawn, but there's nothing in the NCAA charter or books, what they call, that defines what P5 is versus G5. Right now,
in the playoffs, there's already, right? Like the best G5 gets into a New Year's game.
Yeah,
right?
but they don't define it like P5, G5. They define it by like the revenue conferences and the non-revenue conferences.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's what that means, man. Like you can throw G.
Yeah, but you don't need to add anything to
what that means.
You don't want to add anything to that. You don't want to give them any reason to turn G5 conferences into FCS plus. You want the G5s to, at least on some crumb of hope, to be able to get in there and play at the P5
but you're
level.
Just making stuff up. We already are what we are.
Yeah, but I'm saying this goes to like having a G5 playoff. I don't want a G5 playoff.
I don't want a G5 playoff either, but I want a playoff that lets in one G5. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I agree with that because you think that it makes us less equal.
I want a playoff that includes all conference champions that are at
I agree with that.
a specific level or something like that. So
it sounds really cool. I'd love for it to happen, but it probably won't.
Would you not take all P5s and the highest ranked G5 in a
I would take it.
I would say the highest ranked conference championships in the top 10 or something like that. So you would have to get a G5 conference champion would have to be ranked in the top 10 nationally.
Oh, I see. Well, would you have had UCF then? Because I thought they were in the teens, weren't they? They were like 12.
Yeah, they were probably in the top teens, and that would probably get them. I don't know if you'd really get a G5 in the top 10, but I think that creates more of an objective number. Like, all right, well, if you're in the top 10 and you're a conference champion, you deserve to be in an 8-team playoff.
I firmly believe that UCF deserved a shot at the national championship that year. Like I agree. Deserved a shot at it.
I agree.
Yeah, and so whatever.
I don't know if they deserved it.
Look at that as the we can look at that situation as like what a best case scenario is that we can like craft it around to like how could we have made UCF even if they were a 10 seed, you know?
Yeah, well, you would have to do. I mean,
you have to expand it.
All conference, it gets expanded. Because although I think that UCF deserved a chance to play, I don't know if they were in the top 4 teams in the entire country that year.
No. Probably not, but they deserved a chance to show us if they were.
Right. So I don't know how you objectively get to that point, because if you're going to include all conference champions, now you're talking about like a 12-team playoff. And
12 out of
as
we're
a
talking
fan,
we're talking about 12 out of 120, 130.
yeah,
130,
130.
yeah.
I mean, come on, that's like not even a crazy playoff.
No, I don't.
It's
I don't
not.
disagree. I don't think any of us here will disagree on that. I'm just saying where college football is at this point, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Right. I think they would figure out a way to not let the G5s in somehow. Like
they will.
And think about it though. If you did have those, if you did a 12-team playoff, and you've got a Bama playing, whoever the MAC champion or the Sun Belt champion is, like it's going to be. But we see the same thing in college basketball every single season.
Exactly.
So
number 1 plays number 16. Like that's never a fun game to watch.
Now, there's a great YouTube video SB Nation that did about how they should totally change the seating because you miss out on a lot of good games by doing the 1s versus the 16s. But,
right.
Yeah. It's a play. So another thing I saw that was cool, I want to talk about this with the whole mix-up, is just today, their article came out, and Notre Dame AD is quoted is talking about pushing the entire season back to spring. And I'm like, of course Notre Dame wants to push it back to spring because they can't do a conference-only season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they could work something out with the ACC.
The
ACC will take them in.
The ACC convention, they would do whatever they could to help out Notre Dame. But, yeah, so that is an option. But, yeah, there's also an issue with if they do something like that, ACC and SEC only do 8 games in conference, and the other conferences do 9 conference games. So you up it to all of them, try to find an out-of-conference opponent up to 10 or something. I don't know. Or you add more interconference teams. If Sun Belt did go conference only, we could just add Texas State to our schedule and play all 9 teams in the conference. So
we could, but then we'd be traveling. That's an airplane.
And we don't know if we'd be traveling or not.
It's true. They could come to us. They'd be traveling.
Yeah, we played there last season, unfortunately. So they'd be coming here if we were to do something like that. But anyhow, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That was just something. It's going to affect whatever Georgia State does based off of what these Power 5 conferences. So that's why I want to talk about it. I had one last question I wanted to ask to both of you guys before we kind of head out of this middle last call. And it's kind of a theoretical. And I kind of touched on it last week, I think. So following social media and talking to friends and buddies, everyone's like either football is going to happen, football is not going to happen, or maybe it's going to happen, whatever. But like, I don't like hearing people say it's not going to happen.
Getting loud, David.
I'm getting loud?
No. I mean, that statement's trying to get louder.
Yes, it is getting louder. But so you have 2 options, in my opinion. You can go about these next several weeks, hopeful, looking forward to football happening, and then being disappointed if it gets canceled or pushed back or whatever happens. Or you can be all negative Nancy for the next several weeks and just say it's not going to happen and be happy and surprised if it does happen. Which camp do you guys fall in? Do you fall in the whole I'd rather be happy at the end, or I'd rather be disappointed at the end?
I want to be happier for longer because that's the way I am. And I also think football's going to happen. And, like, if they cut it off at the last minute, like, that'll be that and that'll be fine. But, like, I just think we're going to do football. I don't think there's any way we don't do some football.
So Ryan answers the question by not actually answering the question. I mean,
what do you mean?
No, you said you're in the camp, but yeah. So you would rather just believe that it's going to happen and then be disappointed if it doesn't, right? Yeah. How about you, Tim?
I won't be disappointed if it doesn't happen. I'm just hoping it does happen at this point. That's my like.
Yeah, when you hope, and then the thing that you hope for doesn't happen, that means disappointed, dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be disappointed. I already know there's a good chance it won't happen, so I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to be disappointed.
Less than 20% chance it doesn't happen.
So Tim is that quarter that when you flip it lands on its edge instead of one of the sides. Yeah, he's like right there. No, I agree.
Worse than me didn't answer the question.
You guys are both horrible at this.
I felt like I answered the question.
You said what I wanted you to say.
I think it's 50-50 right now.
No, it's like 20. It's like 20-80.
Trending the wrong direction, like cases.
My thing is, I don't want to go by every single day being in a bad mood about the whole thing. I'd rather be in a bad mood once it doesn't happen than be in a bad mood every day for the next 2 months. And all the people that have decided that it's not going to happen, and they have no idea because nobody has any idea. The ADs don't know, the presidents don't know, the governors don't know. No one knows what's going to happen. These people that have decided it's not going to happen, they also feel like they have to go and ruin everyone else's life and say it's not going to happen.
They're just saying it for ratings, right?
Just shut up. And whether you're a social media poster online or you're some columnist on ESPN trying to get clicks or whatever, I don't like you. I'm not a fan of you, and go away.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed that Athletics has posted what their plans are for the season, and they want to have fans, and they want to play. And I think that shows a good direction as far as wanting it to happen and not, they're preparing like we're going to play. And I like that direction. I prefer that direction over like, oh, we'll figure it out if we're going to play. Right.
I agree.
That gives me a little bit of better hope.
I agree.
And they published it. Come on, it's published. Why aren't we on CNN? They should be all over this.
Press release. So, all right. Well, that's all I had for this week. You guys want to talk about anything else before we head the last call?
No, I'm
last call.
Really intent on talking about bandanas. Call.
I'm looking forward to that too. All right. I think once again, just because we can, we'll keep the last call rolling here live on Facebook, but then I'll make it available to our patrons on the podcast, available on Friday for free, immediately for the patrons. Thanks to everybody for listening, watching, tuning in. It's been fun. We will talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.